with our X2. Believe me, a lot of those Polaris men in blue were much more nervous than their smiles suggest. They'd put in endless hours on the X2. Men like Mike Baker of Roseau, Minnesota, Bob Eastman, the head of our Polaris racing team, and the X2's main design engineer, Darrell Courtwright. The Polaris X2 got its name because it uses two 795cc engines, a standard racing engine for Polaris. X2 means times 2, thus X2. Our goal in its design, to build a machine that would stay together with that kind of torque, but be light enough to set the world speed record in the high altitudes of Yellowstone. In an hour, we'd know if we'd succeeded, or if we'd have to wait until next year. Looks like that little fellow in the black and red of Rupp is wondering the same thing. Our record holder Eck checked his skis. He'd be the second man down the chute. As for the X2, every man in blue suddenly seemed to act like a nervous father. Check, recheck, move it into position, and then tell you what, let's check again. As they checked and rechecked again. Courtwright was ready, and the X2 took off. Down the half-mile course and through the speed traps it went. A new world's record, 104.52. But the day wasn't over. Mercury, the X2's record still stood, but Polaris wasn't satisfied with the time. Mike Baker's turn. Ready? Go. Baker makes his run. When Baker hit the lights, 109.90 miles an hour. Suddenly, the men in blue weren't blue at all. Even our sales manager had a big smile. But the happiness was short-lived. Polaris's answer? Find a woman to drive the X2. Let's go after that mark, too. Dorothy Mercer from Lake Tahoe, Nevada, looked a little skeptical as we first broached the subject, and then more than a little skeptical as she found herself on the start line. She'd never been on the X2 before, but she'd agreed to give it a go. Talk about advice. Everyone had some for Dorothy. Only the X2 didn't try to tell her how to do it. It must have sensed Dorothy would do her own thing quite well. Off they went. Time to wait again. And time to shout again. 107.01 miles per hour. Dorothy's skeptical look was now all smiles. She had the woman's record, and she could prove it. The X2 made one more run, and for the fourth time broke the 100-mile-an-hour mark, as Leroy Lindblad went in excess of 106 miles an hour.